the beginning of the course, I mentioned that we don't need to worry too much about keyframing individual layers to animate in or out of objects. However, it's good to at least know the basics of keyframing and then use beginner keyframing skills to enhance our video or modules. Let's go back to our video, and you know that we have about 1 minute of video. The first scene is the teacher image animating in, and it shows up for about 6 or 7 seconds. Although it's got a nice entrance animation along with an exit animation, it's static the whole time in the middle. And we want to add some movement on screen. We're not going to animate the character or the flower or any of that. What we're going to do is scale the image slightly so that there is some subtle animation. Before we do that, let's duplicate the composition so that we have a copy of the original. Let's go to scene 1. This is actually the wrong title. We can call it full scenes. Let's just rename that. You can right click and then click on rename. And then we're going to duplicate the scene so that we can modify the video. Let's rename it to full scene with keyframe. And then let's double click on it. That way we have the new composition showing up on our panel. We go to our teacher layer here. Then from our teacher layer, we're going to click on the little drop down arrow. And you'll see your effects, you'll see your transform. We're going to click on the transform drop down arrow. And you can see all of the different properties that you can animate or keyframe. You can keyframe the anchor point, that's the anchor point. You can keyframe the position, where it starts from one position, it moves to another, the scale, rotation, even the opacity of it. We're going to focus on the scale, and we want it to scale slightly bigger for the entire duration of this layer. So let's go all the way to the beginning. You can hold shift to kind of snap it. Click on the stopwatch, and then we're going to go all the way to the end, snap it. No, actually, let's go a little before. And let's have it scale slightly. So just hold and drag. Maybe let's have it scale to there. 54%. We started with 49. Maybe let's lower the beginning to be maybe 46. And notice how the keyframes were created. In the beginning, we have a keyframe here, and at the end, we have a keyframe here. You can also move this keyframe, shorter or longer. No, we want it right where the transition is about to exit. Now, when we preview, let's preview here. Let's move our work area. Go to the preview panel. Click. If you're a teacher and want to get into instructional design, there are 3 main actionable items that you can do right now. First, there you go. See how there's a subtle animation throughout the 7 seconds of this layer. And that subtle animation just helps the video to be more animated than just having it appear still. And the little borders here, that is not going to be there in the final render. I think it's because we have the resolution to be half or lower. For the second scene, we probably don't want to scale these icons to be growing, so we'll just leave it as that. For the third scene, we can also scale this image just so slightly to have a bit more movement. So let's find out where this layer is. It's this one here where it says teacher 2A. Click the drop down arrow, transform, and scale. There's also keyboard shortcuts. If you click S for scale, it'll show up, and just the scale property shows up. We want it to scale from the beginning of the beginning of the layer. So let's click the stopwatch, and then let's go all the way. Zoom out a little bit, or zoom out on the timeline. This is gonna show all the way to there. Let's scale it all the way to there. This is where the voiceover ends. Let's scale it to there. I'm gonna make sure we're clicking on the layer. Let's scale it to, say, maybe 135. Or maybe 140. There you go. Now if we scrub the timeline, see how it's scaling? Let's preview that. You click 0. Happen overnight, but you can definitely do it. And recruiters to see. There are so many instructional designers who are former teachers. I know this is very possible. It may not happen overnight, but you can definitely do it. All right.